Joining us now on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline, fresh off a bougie vacation to Cabo San Lucas, golf, sunshine, swimming, the beach. David Nixon is back, well rested. David, great to have you on the show. You're looking tan, my friend.
I need a vacation from you guys. It's good to get away. I've regrouped, and I'm ready to go. Here comes football in, 4 months or so? We're right around the corner.
Yeah, let's not bury the lead, though. Hanging out with Taysom, of course, the brother-in-law and other family, but and then Craig Bills. So it's like, I mean, how much you talking football? How much you not talking football?
The funny thing is we actually do bring up a lot of the memories, and we chat about football and just things we remember from our days. But it was a blast, honestly. We played a lot of golf, some good golf and some not so good golf, but all around it was a great time. Good to get some sunshine and get back to Utah and get back to the grind.
Well, while you were gone, some of us were busy working here in Studio B. So just to get you caught up to date, David, Cam Miller, our friend from SB Nation, football insider, NFL draft expert, college football guy, we asked him, okay, now that Zach Wilson's gone, who's the next best pro prospect at BYU? And without hesitation, he gave us his answer. He said Peyton Wilgar, the linebacker. For you, how would you answer that question? Who's the next best pro prospect coming out of BYU football?
Listen, you guys know how I feel about Peyton Wilgar. Ever since he was a freshman, I've been on the Peyton Wilgar train. I love the way he plays, especially in space, when he's out there on the number 2, number 3 receiver and the way he covers. But I also like the opposite side of the ball, Tyler Algier. And I know this isn't very conventional because he's not a conventional back in the NFL, but this is a guy who's a bruiser and a guy that loves the position he plays. But you can't bring him down on first contact. And I think that's what the NFL teams love. If you need a third down back, a third and short back, you put in Tyler Algier, and he's going to get you that 1 or 2 yards. And so I'm excited to see how he has, what type of season he has this year, because I think he is one of those guys that if he can continue to put on good film and good tape, I think some team would take a leap on him. But this team is going to be interesting to see how they all evolve. You've got the schedule. The schedule's in place. Now you're going to be on primetime television like they are every year during Independence. Now, who can kind of step up to the plate and kind of come about, as we saw last year with Zach. Zach took advantage of the COVID year and the type of season they had, as we see. And the question is this coming year, who's going to be able to take advantage of their schedule they have with the packed P5 schedule?
Let me add something else to your, I guess, argument for Tyler Algier. Apparently, he just ran a 4.39 40. And he's a beast. How about that, David Nixon?
I love the 4.39. I'd love to fact check the laser or the hand time, whoever it was. I like a little more details behind that. But listen, if you're Tyler Algier and the size that he's at, even if you're in the 4.4 range, I mean, that's huge. And we see that, unfortunately, in the NFL, it all comes down to your 40 times. A lot of times that's what decides whether you make the cut or not, and whether a GM's willing to take a chance on you or not. And so if he can be in the 4.4 range with the size he's at, the way he runs, man, I mean, that all of a sudden boosts his draft status for sure.
What was your fastest 40?
4.56 coming out of at BYU, my senior year at BYU. So,
okay. You and Austin
not 4.39, not 4.39, and not
4.31.
I'll take my 4.5.
Chris Wilcox, right? That was insane. Okay, that's a fun answer because there's certainly a couple of guys here that are in the mix, and we talked about them too. Like, I think Puka Nacua could be in the mix in a year or two, right? Isaac Rex is an intriguing guy. He's going to be in every national magazine going into this offseason because he caught like 10 touchdown passes, right? Ryan Rico is an interesting one to me too. People don't want to talk about punters, but David, I think he's an NFL punter. And then James Empey, Spencer brought up, and Tyler Algier. So there are certainly some guys. And then there's going to be I wonder about a couple of offensive linemen as well, but it took a sec for us to get to this point. It took a pandemic, unfortunately, to blow up the schedule. But here we are, and BYU is going to have a plentiful NFL draft. And then I think a couple of guys in next year's draft. So we almost forget, David, that sometimes it takes time. It took Kalani Sitake a 5th year to really get on the map, and it paid off.
And let me say this. Brady Christensen, with what he did in his pro day and what he did this season, has helped this BYU offensive line unit big time. And you mentioned Nippy's name, and he's a name I had written down as well. I think he's a guy that benefits from a great year like Brady Christensen, where all of a sudden you put the offensive line back on the map. I mean, it's been a while since BYU had an offensive lineman drafted, and there's some bias towards that with missions, et cetera. But now the way that Brady performed, and I think he'll be probably a first, second, Probably first or second, maybe third round. He slips to the third round. But the way he performed, he definitely boosted his draft stats as well. But I think that helps his offensive line. You got Clark Barrington, you got Impey, you got a lot of guys that have the Freeland. You got guys that have the ability to go to the next level. But for one reason or another, I think BYU's offensive linemen got kind of passed over in years past. But now Brady put them back on the map. And so excited to see what happens with that unit. But you're right, this team has a ton of talent. And this is how it always is in March, April, right? We're sitting here thinking who's going to emerge. And I think that's what's so great about fall camp. And with the schedule, somebody's going to have to emerge as a playmaker. And if you can be that playmaker, then all of a sudden you have a chance at the next level.
David Nixon with us on BYU Sports Nation. We've also been discussing the biggest missed calls in the history of BYU sports. This based on what happened between the Braves and the Phillies last night. Close play at the plate. It determined the game. We all thought, as well as most of Major League Baseball, that it was clearly not a run, but the umps looked at it 5 different angles and somehow said that the Phillies scored. So got us thinking, all right, how have things impacted BYU in that regard? So in your opinion, what's the biggest missed call in the history of BYU sports?
What do we have? We have 45 minutes? I mean, how long do we have to talk about this? I mean, I could go on. I mean, listen, I'll talk about my personal career. I look back, I think of 2006, the offensive pass interference on Matt Allen in the end zone. I mean, terrible call. And in 2007, the fumble that was not a fumble by Vic Soto against UCLA at the Rose Bowl. I mean, those are a few of the calls. I mean, it was Doman. Sean Doman had an interception that they overturned somehow, same game in 2007 against UCLA. So listen, there's calls. You can go back and forth. I will say this: the bad thing was we were playing on Versus, and of course there were no replays. There were like 2 cameras in the whole stadium. So I don't blame the refs for not being able to overturn it. But no, I mean there's some blown calls. That one last night was. I'm with you. I don't know how they came to conclusion there, but some of my career were probably those 2 that come to mind when you think of blown calls. Those 06 and 07. Those are tough ones because we went 11-2 both years, and you take away a couple of those blown calls. We go 11-1, or maybe we catch some other momentum. You go undefeated. It's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas, I guess.
Well, 'tis the season, right? It's April, so here we are. What's the call that you totally got away with yourself? Like you held or you PI'd in a game where you were like, dude, I got lucky.
I mean, there's plenty of those. I'd say the one goes back to high school, actually. We're playing our rival. The ball was on the 1-yard line. They run like a quarterback sneak. We stuff them on 3rd down. There's only like 10 seconds left. The clock's ticking. I get up. I look back, I see there's only like 4 seconds left. So I jump back on the pile. And like you can see in the film, I stood up, I look behind me, and all of a sudden you can see me just jump and leap back on the quarterback as he's trying to get up. Sure enough, clock expired. We won the game on the 1-yard line, held them for the winner. That's probably what I got away with. That our rival, Bryan High School, to this day, I think they're still bitter about it, but oh well.
I love it. David Nixon sharing some absolute delightful plays from his high school career on BYU Sports Nation. As we push forward to BYU football in 2021, I know crazy that it's only 4 months away, but yet here we are. Who's going to be the face of Cougar football when the 2021 season kicks off?
Listen, I hate to admit it because I'm a defensive guy, but it's always a quarterback. It's always a quarterback.
Which one, David?
I love this. I love the fact. I mean, you look back at last year, and we going into the season, Zach Wilson, who's not going to be the number 2 pick overall, he was in a quarterback controversy. They weren't sure whether it was going to be Baylor or him who's starting the season. And I love that about this year. Yeah, we don't have a clear-cut number 1, but you love the competition because it truly does bring out the best. I'll tell you what. During the summer, when those PRP, the player run practices, start to evolve, you'll see who the true leader is of this team. Is it Jacob Conover, this freshman, coming out, redshirt freshman? Or is it Baylor Rodney? Who's going to be the vocal? Jaron Hall? Who's going to be the vocal guy to emerge as the face of BYU? Because that's what it is. The quarterback is the position that's the face of the team. So I think that's what's most exciting. I think you'll start to see some names leak of guys who have really taken the reins, are the ones calling, making sure that everyone's there, because there are guys that inevitably are going to be on vacation or sleeping in. Who's calling each guy individually and saying, get your butt out of bed and get over here to the practice field? And so I think that's the intriguing thing. And then, of course, during fall camp, hopefully with COVID easing, we'll be able to go to the practice this go around, be able to see those guys in full action. But it's exciting. And once again, a lot of people say that's a bad thing BYU hasn't settled on a quarterback. I think it's a great thing because competition brings out the best in you, and it really pushes each one individually. And so I'm excited to see how that all evolves. And the good thing is you have three very capable quarterbacks. Of course, Conover hasn't gotten a college snap in a game, but you've got, Jaron Hall and Baylor Romney who have played plenty in live games. And so for BYU fans, you know you're rolling into your first game with somebody that most likely has had some game time experience.
Let's break down what you just said. So you talked about the vocal leadership. Baylor's not a vocal guy. He's the quarterback who makes the simple play and the simple throw, and he's predictable and awesome and good, right? Beat Boise State, amazing. Jacob Conover's a freshman. Do you want to throw a freshman into the mix to command the group, albeit Jacob's pretty unique, right? Turned down Alabama for a Scully. And then there's Jaron Hall. To me, it's clearly Jaron Hall. And maybe it's not so clear right now, but I think it will be later that he's the guy. He's been in the system. He's the most athletic quarterback there. He makes great throws as well. To me, it's going to be Jaron Hall because I wonder if you want to throw a freshman, like blind resume, you don't want to throw a freshman at 7P5s. Baylor, you know what you get, which is good. The ceiling's probably a little bit higher with Jaron. Do you feel like it's Jaron's job to lose?
I think there's elements of each player, and I think that's why they haven't settled on a particular player. I will say this:
that's so no one transfers, David.
Hey, I'll say this: when it comes to a quarterback, it's all about confidence. And when you're a player on defense, offense, you can feel that confidence from the quarterback. And so they don't have to be vocal. They don't have to be somebody that's going out there rah-rah on everybody. It's can they step out there and do the players have trust in that quarterback that he knows what he's doing, he knows his proper checks, can he command the offense? And so I think that's still the verdict is still out. And I think that's what fall camp's going to be all about. And that's what Aaron Roderick and his offensive staff, that's what they have to figure out is who's going to be that guy and who exhibits all of those qualities. Because you're right, it's not just hey, let me call everybody, let me be the rah-rah guy, because a lot of times some of those guys are fake, right? It's like you talk the talk, but you can't go out there and walk the walk on the field. You don't have the ability. And so you put all those elements and all those qualities into the big basket, and that's when hopefully one of those guys evolves. But I don't know if there's a leg up. I mean, obviously, Jaron's played well and Baylor's played well, but Jaron's had injuries. So I think there's pros and cons with every guy. Yeah, Conover is a freshman, so that's a con against him. But the pros, we heard that he tore up the scout team defense last year in practice. He was out there just tearing them up left and right. And so you don't know. And I think that's the beauty of it. Once again, there's no clear-cut guy to where it's a true competition.
Former BYU and NFL linebacker David Nixon on BYU Sports Nation. While we're on the topic of confidence, if you can quantify it, how confident are you in the idea of Zach Wilson being the next starting quarterback for the New York Jets?
It blows my mind. In fact, Taysom, while we're down there in Cabo, we talked about it. He was obviously very excited for Zach. And hopefully this year for Taysom, he's starting as well. So we'll have two BYU starters. And I think they clash, week 3 or 4, I read somewhere. Maybe we have an all BYU quarterback matchup in the NFL. But I'm obviously pretty confident, especially when they trade away Sam Darnold. I think that was a telltale sign that they're going after Zach. But listen, in the NFL, it's all about getting your shot. And yeah, we understand the woes of the Jets and kind of their past history. But you look at their draft, the picks they have this year, they have 3 picks within the top 34 picks. They have 5 within the top 90. So they have the ability to go out there and get some talent to surround Zach with. Granted, these are a lot of rookies, which you don't love. You want some veteran guys in the mix as well. But they can go out there and pick up some good talent to try to protect them and to provide some support for them. So the picks are there. I mean, they've traded away some of their best players, Jamal Adams, Sam Darnold. I mean, they've gotten picks by doing that. But I'm excited for it. I mean, listen, the good thing is as a rookie quarterback, there's a long leash there, right? You understand that there's going to be some growing pains. It's a process. You probably won't start seeing the fruits of it until 2 or 3 years down the road. But for Zach, I mean, it's what an opportunity to go start in the NFL week 1, because when you're taking top 2, top 3 picks, you're almost guaranteed to start. They're expecting you to come in and start right away. So we'll see how it all plays out. But pretty exciting times with the draft being, 3 weeks away? Now less than 3 weeks. So excited to see what happens with him and, of course, with all the other BYU players.
David, great to catch up with you, man. We would love to play golf with you at some point in Cabo if you'd like to invite us.
Or in Provo.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to put it on the calendar. I can't wait. Jarom, I've heard your driving game is just phenomenal, so I can't wait to see it.
Unbelievable. My driving to the course, yeah.
Very safe, very, very methodical approach for sure. David, great to talk to you, man. Thanks for the time.
All right, guys. Take care.
David Nixon on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, you know why we